Hey friend, have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, somewhere along the way, I feel like I lost myself? And not because I failed, because I don't feel like I failed, and my life didn't necessarily fall apart, or maybe it did, but honestly because I spent so many years trying to become what everyone else expected me to be, like all these outside expectations, and maybe I put them on myself. But I was a dependable person, I was the strong one, I was the one who was going to take care of everything. But somewhere in all of that time, I stopped asking myself what I needed. I don't think most of us women are looking for some kind of new identity, really. I think what we're really trying to find is our way back to the woman we were before the world convinced us that we weren't enough, or we got lost in the shuffle of everything. So for so many years, I measured my worth by what I could do for everyone else. I've spent 26 years teaching and I absolutely love it. I love helping students discover who they are and their inner light, and it's one of the greatest privileges of my life. I absolutely love it. But teaching has also taught me how easy it is to pour every single ounce of myself into other people and forget about myself. You answer one more email, or I stay one more hour, or I solve one more problem. But I keep giving and giving because that's who I am. And then one day I come home and I don't have much left. I'm running on empty. It feels like every day. And maybe your story looks different. Maybe you spent years raising children, or maybe you cared for your parents, or maybe you've built this amazing career. Maybe you spent decades making sure everyone around you was okay. And none of that is wrong, right? I love the life I have. It's all beautiful. But somewhere along the way, many of us learned that everyone else's needs come before our own. And we called that love because that's what we were just giving. Maybe we called it responsibility. Maybe we called it strength. But sometimes it was abandonment. And not abandonment by someone else. Abandonment of ourselves. And I know what that feels like. There was a season in my life when my health was terrible. I was in and out of the hospital all the time. I was constantly exhausted. And my body kept trying to get my attention. I kept pushing through day after day because that's what I'd always done. And you just tough it out. And I thought stopping to take care of myself was something I'd just get around to later when I had time. But my body wasn't patient. And till we don't have a choice, something happened. It wasn't like a lightning bolt or anything dramatic or some huge revelation, but it was a moment when I realized, maybe not until after the fact, but something I had never really thought about before. I didn't need to keep criticizing myself. I needed to just be kind to myself. And that moment did change something in me. And it didn't happen that moment. It came later on reflection, because, real change doesn't happen instantly. But it did happen, and one small choice at a time. And I started just looking at my life differently. And I started thinking about what I wanted for me. And I started eating differently. And I started, stop punishing myself. By living healthier, I did get my body in a healthier place. But what I'm most proud of is not the fact that I ended up losing a lot of weight. It's all the shame that I put aside, because my journey was not about losing weight. It was about living better and about accepting myself and loving myself. And then a few years later, I took a little trip to Bali to become a certified yoga instructor. And honestly, if I had told my younger self that I'd be traveling across the world to learn yoga by myself, I would never have believed it. But what really surprised me is not yoga poses. It was just this stillness. And I discovered that I was slowing down, and I wasn't being lazy. It wasn't weakness. I was just being present and listening to what my body needed and what I wanted. And sometimes the strongest thing we can do is just to stop running long enough to hear our own thoughts and our own things that we want. And so living through a debilitating nerve disorder, which I did, when my health changed and I felt like I was falling apart, my priorities changed. And after many trips to the hospital, I realized I had to stop waiting for permission to care for myself, and eventually understood that someday was today and I needed to stop. So looking back, none of the experiences I had made me into some new person, but they helped me stop and remember the woman I kept forgetting that I was. And maybe that's what healing is not trying to become someone else, but remembering who I've been all along. And I think we spend so much of our lives chasing self-improvement or another self-help book or another diet or another way to use a planner or another routine or another goal that we're setting. And there's nothing wrong with any of those. I love learning. I love learning. I love books. I love self-help books. I love growing. I love setting goals. I love all of that. But lately I've been just quietly wondering myself, what if my healing isn't about fixing? What if my growth is actually about becoming more caring, but caring less, and carrying less guilt and less comparison and less perfectionism and less pressure to prove my self-worth to anyone, including myself. One of my favorite quotes is, "The way out is in." And I love that, because every time I think the answer is somewhere out there outside of myself, I Google, and maybe it's in another accomplishment or another achievement or another goal I've taken care of or somebody else's opinion, I just pause and remind myself to come back to me, to breathe, to listen to myself, and to notice. And that is the number one thing that yoga taught me. That every time I return to my breath and I practice getting silent and listening to myself, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because we remember we're already enough. We don't have to earn our place. We don't have to perform our worth. We simply return to ourselves again and again. And so I would love for you to do something with me. If you are somewhere safe, I would love for you to gently close your eyes and take one slow breath in and let it go. And picture yourself when you're 7, maybe 8 years old. See your face. Notice what that little girl is wearing and what made her laugh. What made her curious? And what did she love before she started worrying about being enough for everyone else? And just sit with her for a moment. She doesn't need your advice. She doesn't need you to fix her. She just needs to know that you came back. So open your eyes, and here's a journal question I'd love for you to reflect on this week. Where in my life have I mistaken becoming for belonging? And I have a feeling your answer might surprise you. So friends, if today's conversation resonated with you, I would love for you to tell me one thing in the comments. What is one small way you are coming home to yourself this week? I love you, friend. And until next time, let's just keep choosing to live better. not by becoming someone else, but by remembering who we have been all along.